What's up, guys? I'm your host, your girl, Jessica Hurley, and I am here with somebody you've seen me with before. My guy, literally my guy. I can't wait to tell you guys about him and everything that he has done for my brand, for other people that we have worked with. When I met him, I knew. I mean, the skill set, the passion he has behind driving brands and just understanding the power of marketing is unmatched. And so I had to...
Branding.
My bad. Branding.
It's all good. It's all
My
good.
bad. Branding. See, and I use the words interchangeably too. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to clarify this.
We're going to get into that for sure.
We're going to clarify this. But I was so excited to pull you from behind the camera, which is where you usually are, and put you on this show to really clarify this for people, because I think this is where the most people get stuck. So without further ado, Jose Vega, the man.
Felt special with that intro there. I mean, I was emotionally touched.
Vega comes with a vast skill set on brand strategy, video, like capturing the moment in just the most incredible way, and reels. So let's dive right into this. Something that we talk about all the time is that you have said that I'm going to put my foot up here because this is the kind of game we're about to talk.
Get comfortable, girl. There you go.
So you have mentioned several times that 82% of content consumed on social platforms will be video.
Correct. 82% of all social media content is going to be video.
So this is where we are going. There's no looking back. Pretty much anything that you're marketing online has to be video. And does it have to be quality video?
I mean, just look at it like this. The owner of Instagram, or the creator of Instagram, because Facebook's the owner now, they announced that they're no longer a photo sharing app. I mean, you can still share photos, but they're transferring over to being a video sharing app. Especially in an era where we are now, anybody with a computer, it's easy to start doing all these scams, these hacks. You never know who is who, right? Anybody can just steal your photos and start posting the photos.
Oh my God. How many fake accounts do you have under your name right now? Yeah. Not like literally, but
a bunch.
I see me's liking me's all the time. I'm like, who is this?
Yo, if anyone feels like you've ever got a DM from me, I promise you probably have. I suck at DMing. I gotta get better at answering my own DMs, but there's so many fake accounts, and it's like one thing they can't replicate. I mean, I guess they could repost, but when you're giving this video, like these video, right? People feel like they're getting an experience. Is why we call it the broadcast experience. Like they're getting that personal feel for you. They figure out who your personality is. You look at my picture, you don't know what type of person I am, but if you watch me on video, you're like, okay, he's kind of cool, or I don't like him. So like, you can make your own, your own opinion on it. You can make your own judgments, but it's something that video does, and that's huge on branding. That's huge on marketing. Is you're selling on emotion, and video allows you to transport that emotion over, into a form they can see and feel without them having to be there with you.
Yes, and that's why this is so needed, especially for those higher brands that are already working on something and with an incredible audience. It just brings their experience from their living room, which is what people really want, or their Airbnb or whatever the hell it is.
Literally their living room.
Their vacation, literally their living room. Voila. To their viewer, their listener, their fan base. Right. And so I think it's a non-negotiable. It's where we're going. We jump right into the difference between branding versus marketing.
Of course. It's one of my favorite things to go over, famously quoted for it. Everyone, they're always going to give you all these technical terms and try to confuse you with it, but it breaks down to something very simple. And it's branding is your story. Mm-hmm. Marketing is how you tell that story. Right. So obviously
imagine that.
It goes back into, again, how easy it is now. Anybody with a laptop, watch a couple YouTube videos. Now they're like, oh, I'm a marketer. Right. No shots. But how many times do you see it? Right. And everybody's like, time. Oh, how do I grow my business? They're like marketing. Okay, cool. Marketing's a part. But if marketing is how you tell that story, how the hell are you going to tell a story you don't have? You got to deep dive into that brand. You look at some of the biggest businesses in the world, right? And the biggest companies in the world. They never try to sell you anything. They never say, hey, this is the price of my product. Go to the store and buy it. They focus on brand. They focus on touching an emotion. Like when you watch that
something
commercial.
You have to have.
Yeah. They're like, how can we emotionally touch this person? Because if you're it's not about who's the best. It's about who's the most well-known. And if you're the company that I think of when I go to the store, because you tapped into like something in my childhood or something that was relatable that you showed in your commercial. Now I'm like, okay, do I get this brand or do I get the brand that I know? I'm always going to go to the brand that I know. You know, sometimes they might come from the same factory, the same manufacturer. It might be the same thing, but I don't care. I want to pay for the stuff that I know the brand behind. I know that they care about the details. They have a story that I relate to, so that's who I'd rather give my money to.
So many questions behind this. One of the most valuable things I learned from you recently was, I think, so branding is a skill. It's something that you have to practice and learn about yourself.
And it's not just a logo. Like,
please be clear.
Before we deep dive
Speak
into
to
it.
them, Vega.
So like, I hear it all the time. They're like, oh, you're the branding guy? So what do you do? Like, you make logos and colors? Like, yes, I guess that's a portion of it. You know, so aesthetics are important, right? Because aesthetics is, but there's more behind it. But aesthetics is what makes you buy a product when you go to the store, right? If the packaging looks cheesy and crappy, you're not going to go for it, right? But
what do you always call the aesthetic? Addiction? Something?
What?
Newsfeed addiction or something?
Oh, like the grid OCD?
Yeah, grid OCD.
Yeah, that's when you bring aesthetics over, like, or you bring your branding over to your social media platforms, right?
Right.
So everyone is always focused on like making their aesthetic, right? No, this just doesn't match my aesthetic, right? And they're always so focused on the photos, but it's like, okay, if you're gonna be that focused on the quality of photos you're putting on the feed, like, also it should be like people should be able to know that it's your posts without them looking at the name. Does that make sense? Like,
yes.
You ever look at a post and you're like, oh, that looks like this person's post.
This person. Ooh.
And it's because their aesthetic is on point or their brand is on point. They created that grid OCD where it looks consistent. And you want to have that across all when you're building your branding. That's why, like, we'll laugh about it sometimes. I'm like, yo, just what's your colors? Like,
yes.
What are your brand colors?
Yes.
And it sounds like something done. And I know we kind of like, we'll get back to the point that we were trying to get to in the first part. But it's important because you need to create that consistency across the board. Like, a lot of times I'll see people and they're like, oh yeah, I got this brand, or I do this, I'm this personal, especially for the personal brands. They're like, oh, I'm a coach, or I'm this, and it's a service based. Like, you are your brand, right? And then I'm like, okay, some of your profiles, like your social media, like your handles, what are they? And I start looking at their stuff, and like the YouTube looks like one person, the Instagram looks like another person, the Facebook doesn't even post anything, it looks generic. I'm like, okay, there's no consistency here. How the heck am I supposed to know it's you? Go to Coca-Cola, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. You're going to know it's Coca-Cola across the board.
Facts.
Right? Like, they're super like adamant about every little detail that they do for their branding. But you know it's them. Yep. And they're able to keep a consistent message across the board. The message doesn't change. The platform may change, and how they project that message or what they say may change, but the message and the story and the aesthetics, the way things look, the feeling that it gives, that never changes. And that's branding.
Okay. So I'm gonna keep digging because again, the people that I've worked with, and myself included, like, learning this, when you say the messaging is the same, are messaging and branding the same? Is messaging a piece of branding? Messaging is
an important piece of branding. Because like I said, so branding, again,
is the story.
Before we jump into that, we'll get into there's different parts of it, right? If you break it down. So the aesthetics would be one part, right?
Yep.
So it's like the way things look. So you know the consistency, that's your packaging, because there's a lot of consumer psychology that goes behind the packaging, right? You got to think on how someone, your target audience, your target ideal customer is going to think before they think it, and make sure you apply that.
Facts.
So that's why aesthetics are so important. Colors give emotion. And then messaging, we'll jump into messaging about it. It's a part of it, but it's not branding, right? With the story, and you got to figure out what your message is, right? What the point is. A lot of times I'll meet people and they'll be like, I don't have a story. Right? My story isn't interesting.
Isn't interesting enough.
Right?
Yeah. It's not a pity party. It's not
when it's your
traumatic
business.
enough.
Exactly. Like, everybody thinks it has to be something. But there's so many people in this world, right? Why do you think memes go viral?
Because it feels like me. It feels personal.
It feels personal, right?
Yes.
Like, have you ever looked at a meme and crack up, like, dying laughing?
By yourself in a room.
You're like, yo,
you're like, that's
my God,
me.
that's me.
That's me. Yep.
And there's only so many different type of personalities in this world, right? The memes go viral because whoever made that meme relates. They didn't do anything different. They just put something that they spoke to themselves first. The message was to them. They were like, this is funny to me.
Yes.
This is something I do. And then they just put it out there. They didn't worry about, like, oh, I want to apply to the cool people, so let me see what the cool people think are cool. No, they put something out that spoke to them first, about themselves, and then everybody else related to it, and then
I-
they made a market about it.
I told you I saw one the other day that had me crying. I was
The
like,
lettuce?
the lettuce. I felt
Oh.
so called out. It was literally like, oh my God, I just left the store and I forgot to buy packaged lettuce that I'm going to throw out unopened in 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
Yeah, so that goes back into it. So like that's a perfect example of the messaging, right? Like everyone has a story. And sometimes people
But people have the hardest time identifying their story.
yeah, because they're trying to make it up. They're like, what sounds good?
Shots fired.
Right? They're like, what sounds good? Right?
Yeah.
That's why when somebody has a hard time identifying their story or their company story or like their brand's story or like the origin story, where it comes from or the purpose they're doing it, is because it's not genuine. If you're having a hard time and it's not coming to you naturally, it's probably not the right story you should be telling. And it's just that simple. Because when you really get in that zone, I don't know, we need to let that linger for a second.
Yeah.
Right.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right. Nah, but when you really get in the zone and like you understand the purpose of your product, your service, who you are, that story is going to come natural because you're not going to force it. It's going to be you. If you speak to yourself first and the message really resonates with yourself, then you just need to put it out there and not worry about it. You don't decide who your market is. Your market decides who they are. So a lot of people are like, oh, my market is, 18 to 25 or 25 to 35-year-old entrepreneur boss babes and stuff like.
Did you see my face?
Yeah.
Because I've always said this. People will be like, when I work with like I call them type A, but like, very analytical people, they'll be like, well, before I launch this, I want to make sure that I know who my audience is and blah, blah. And I'm like, no, speak and let your audience decide.
I get that all the time. They're like, oh, I don't want to move forward yet because I need to figure out who my target audience is. And I was like, what? Like,
No,
yeah, I don't know who I'm
speak to
speaking
yourself.
to. I'm like, just speak to you, and I promise you they're going to find you.
Yes.
Like, a lot of times, like I said.
And you're probably wrong if you try to guess it.
Yeah, you're always wrong if you try to guess it. Like,
That's facts.
you ever try to go viral on TikTok or you try to go viral anywhere? Because TikTok's the easiest. That's why I mentioned that one. But it's like, you ever try to go viral, period? And you're like, I love this video. This video is going to go viral, right? I know exactly who this video is for. And then you put it out and the shit flops.
Yes.
And then you find a video like, oh, this sucks, but I guess I'll just use it as some filler content. And the shit goes viral.
Yeah.
Like, I had a video I was going to throw away one time. I was like, I didn't even like this video. I'm like, you know what? For the hell of it, let me just upload it. And it got like 300,000 views. And I'm like, what the? I just put like an hour into work into my last video and it flopped. And this one got 300,000 views. Like, what the? And you don't decide who you're speaking to. You just start speaking. And you ever heard that cliche phrase? They're like, if you build it, they'll come.
They'll come.
Well, if you just start speaking to someone,
They'll come.
they'll listen.
They will listen.
Whoever needs to listen to what your message is, if you just start speaking a genuine message, they're going to listen.
And the clearer you get about talking to yourself, the more, and this is my personal belief, the more vulnerable you are, the more authentic you are, they're going to come or go. But if you're worried about pleasing people, that's where you're going to get stuck. You're going to get stuck trying to deliver something to everyone.
Right.
Being authentically you gets them out of the way faster. They can decide if they do or do not like you. Get them to get the hell on so you can captivate and capture and connect with the people that are meant for you, period.
The best strategy for like launching a successful brand and anything you're going to do, a business, a service, just a product, right, is genuine. Just the more genuine you are, then that's what's going to drive the success. Like I know a lot of people, especially with personal brands, and it's no shots. I mean, I get it. Like, but they're like, oh, I got to wait till I look a certain way. I can't do videos because my apartment's not nice enough. I need the aesthetics of, I need plug the flex. I don't know if you know. Podcast is the industry to get into. I don't know if you see this set, right? This is like, everybody's like, oh, I don't got Jess's, sky rise in downtown with the view of the ocean, so I can't do videos. And I'm like, it's cool, but you're not speaking to the same people that Jess is speaking to. No. The people that you're trying to get your message across, the people that are genuinely going to receive what you have, might like your one-bedroom apartment somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And because they're going to feel like they resonate with your story a little bit more.
Facts.
And I think we spoke about it the other night. We were talking about a little bit more, like to deep dive a little bit more in messaging, right? Or just like, because a lot of people think, well, first, before we get into that, like a lot of people think with the messaging, right? Like, it doesn't have to be your story, first of all. Right? Just knowing what you're doing, you can tell somebody else's story.
I teach this. I talk about this all the time, is that to prove a point in selling your product or service or captivating someone with it. You can tell your story. You can tell a friend or someone closest to you story. You can tell a freaking stranger's story. I can prove to you that marriage counseling works by telling you a story about me and my husband or telling you a story about Will Smith and Jada. It doesn't matter. Like
No entanglements. No entanglements.
no entanglements though. No situationships. However, but they did this with us with Subway with Jared.
Yeah.
We don't know Jared. Why do we all think we know Jared?
I'm saying I've never had pants that big. The whole, the commercial. But I still like Subway. No, I don't like Subway that much. Oh, no shots. Wait, listen, Subway, if you need branding help, I got you. However, right? No, but like let's say your story, genuinely speaking, like let's just put it out. Let's say your story is you don't have a story, right? You're just everything was perfect and nothing was ever bad, and you're trying to be a coach and you're trying to help people who can't find their vision or find their purpose in life, right? But your story doesn't resonate with that audience, right? Because it's not. You had the silver spoon or silver platter, like they say, and everything was handed to you. So you don't need to use your story, right? You know the purpose of why you created that business. That business was for you to inspire women just like yourself to find their purpose, women that are going through struggles. So why not tell a story about a woman that you know that inspires you because she went through her struggle? Yep. It doesn't have to be your story, but that is the story of your brand, of your service that you're offering. So there's always a story to tell. You just have to find the right story and truly just be genuine across like the idea of why you're doing whatever you're doing, right? Or in a sense, like for product space, right? Because a lot of what we were doing prior to COVID, which caused, a pivot in my company and allowed us to focus more with these wonderful entrepreneurs like yourself and really learn about helping them develop and tell their stories. We were working with products. A product can't talk to me. A product can't tell me, hey, Vega, this is what I'm for, right? So it was like, okay, how do we create a voice to something that doesn't have a voice? And it's like, okay, we don't have to do a story about your life or about this. Why did you create this product? What is this product going to help someone, right? Or if you have a clothing brand, because there might be some of you out there that your business is a clothing brand. What do you want people to feel? Whether it's like, okay, I want women to feel confident when they put on my shirts, right? It's like when people buy Gucci, right? You're not just buying the brand. Why do you think people pay so much for it? They're buying into the brand of it. They're buying into that class, right? When I wear Gucci, I feel confident. I'm like, this is not everybody got this shirt.
Right. This
is not just a regular shirt. So I'm in a different, I'm not only wearing and representing the brand, I'm wearing and representing the class of people that would wear, right? Or so we think, because that's what they sell us on. It's like, I care more about myself than just to wear a regular shirt. I want quality. I care about the quality things in life, right? So it's like, what is the purpose of your product? What is it going to solve? And then you have to sell on that story, like build around it.
So I feel like we have to keep talking about this though, because you even taught me something the other night, is that every woman I talk to, and I've done this too, is they think they can only, they get clear on their story.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I went through this, I did this, I grew through this, I learned this, they get clear on the story.
But they can only tell it one way.
They can only tell it one way, and they can only tell it a couple times because they think that people get tired. Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to get on here and tell them again that I went through that?
It's the wear it once syndrome.
Wear it once. Talk about this.
Yeah. You ever see people, they're like, oh, they get a fly outfit, like dressed down to the T.
Or y'all going to see this again. Right? Y'all going to see this again.
And they're like, oh, I can't wear this again. I'm like, why? Because I already wore it out. Everybody already seen me in this. I'm like, but it looks nice. Why wouldn't you wear it again? Right. You got a bunch of compliments.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everybody seen. Did everybody see you in it?
No.
Or just like you keep talking to the same people, right? There's a lot of people that haven't seen that. Say something
while you're in there, Vega.
There's a lot of people that haven't seen that lusciousness. They haven't seen all that zebra you got going on. Like you can go prance around everywhere else. Just go to a new field. Ooh. Right? Go run and explore. Like a lot of people limit themselves and they're like, oh, I already told that story. Oh, I already wore it once. I can't wear it again. People can't see me in this. Why? That's your message. That's your story. People need to see you in it.
You said that and I was like, you were like, listen, think about Tony Robbins. He tells the
Think about Ty Lopez. How many times did we see him? I'm in my garage. Books. Like we all
Lamborghinis.
Knew he was in his
Lamborghinis,
garage.
books.
Exactly. But he didn't care. He kept telling that message. You seen it 80 times, right? But I seen it 80 times. But there was somebody that for the 82nd time that we seen it, it was their first time seeing it.
Facts. You know this to be true because I constantly see it come to fruition when I put all this work into something and I post it, and you all have done this before too. You put all this work, you post it 3 times in 1 week on your social platforms. All these people are messaging you, and then you go 4 weeks without posting it. And like maybe it's something you're selling or something you're launching or you have some type of somewhat of a campaign behind it. And then you post it again, like randomly because you're talking about it or it's related to whatever you're talking about. And then all of a sudden all these other people are like, "Oh, congrats." And you're like, "Wait, you didn't see it the first time?" Like I posted our vlogcast thing yesterday, and I had all these people messaging me like, "Oh, this is so dope." And I'm like, "We've been talking about this for 3 weeks." Yeah. Everybody does not see everything.
Yeah. I mean, not only that, it's like you're being selfish if you don't share it again. Because what if it's a post that inspired somebody? And yes, a part of it is the new people seeing it. But what if that person that you inspired the first time is feeling down again? They need to hear that story again. They need to hear your message again. Like, why are you holding it back? Because, I don't want to get the constructive criticism. I don't want to get the criticism of, you already posted that. Oh, look at Jess. She has nothing new. She just keeps posting the same thing. It's not for you. You're not supposed to hear my message. If you don't like my message, you should probably just switch the channel, go somewhere else. Like, I'm fine with it.
So this is a really beautiful thing to discuss, because I remember and you helped me understand this, was when I started my podcast 3 years ago, I had so many people that were like, it was the same thing was on repeat. It was like, "You're so relatable. I feel like you're talking directly to me. I feel like you're watching my life." Like people felt like I was talking directly to them, when in reality I was talking to myself. I was talking to me. I was saying the things that I needed to hear, because my podcast was good enough and relatable enough to myself that I could press play and get motivated by it, because it was exactly where I was.
That's a good space to be in.
Yes, it worked, y'all. It worked. And then I got obsessed with, as I grew, I kept thinking that my audience was the same people that started with me. So I had to grow them with me. And I'll never forget, a girl messaged me one time and said, I don't know if everybody knows who Rachel Hollis is, but she's massive, books in Target, all type of stuff, major events, had a major event called Rise. And she messaged me and said, "I'm now listening to your podcast more than I listen to Rachel Hollis, because she's just become so unrelatable." And she was like, "Don't ever stop being relatable." And I was like, damn, how do I do that? And I realized how easy it is to get caught up in it, because I keep thinking people that are following me now, well, they got to be the people that started with me 3 years ago. So they need to see me level up. So I need to take them with me.
Trying to change the story.
I'm trying to change the story. And when you told me that, like, keep the story, like, you can tell the same story over and over again, I was like,
what changes is the story never changes. If you're doing effective branding, your story's always going to stay the same. The thing that changes is the way you tell the story, right? And that's marketing. Because marketing's all the different stories you tell to tie back to the main thing. Like it's all the different ways that you tell the story to tie back to that main purpose, that main story, that main message that you were getting across, right? So, like, let's dummy it down, right? Because I love dummying it down and making it more understandable. We don't need to get into all these crazy technical terms. I think when we were out the other night, this is the example I gave you. It's the family reunion, right?
yes.
Yeah. So look at it as like branding, right? It's like if you never met my family and I bring you to my family reunion, right? And we're walking around and I'm like, "Hey, everybody, how you doing? This is Jess. Hey, Jess, this is my Uncle Joe. Joe's the gangster in the family, right?
Yeah.
That's Joe's brand. Joe's the gangster. Don't mess with Joe, right? But the reason that Joe is a gangster, there's going to be 100 stories, right?
To prove.
When Joe was 10 years old, he ran outside. Somebody said something to his mom. Joe threw a soda can at him. and that started it from there. You know, Joe was in high school. Somebody said something. Joe knocked out the senior being a freshman, right? All of these stories are different, right? Because
they all lead to the same thing.
But they all lead back to the same message of Joe being a gangster. This is my Uncle Tom. He's the funny one. Well, why is Tom the funny one? Oh, one time Tom did this, right? And if I'm talking to somebody that's serious, I might tell you a serious story and then kind of add some humor into it. But if I'm talking to you, somebody that's like got a crazy sense of humor, then I might tell you a real funny story, right? The stories are always different, but it ties back to the same message. And that's effective branding and marketing working hand in hand. I can change the way I tell my message. I can change the stories that I tell, right? I can try different things. You can try new things in marketing, right? Because I can try different angles, right? If something feels stale, I'll switch it up. As long as my message stays the same and I'm not changing my message, then I know that I'm being effective. I'm still being genuine, and I'm still going to be able to resonate and tap in with that core audience that I'm going for.
So when you say marketing, I'm thinking of now, and correct me if this is the wrong terminology, but now I'm thinking of how, like, for all of us, the way that we move has changed. So we have to, so the story stays the same, but we have to now market through whatever is current in the industry, AKA we've gone from, you know, short videos to now you can't survive without a reel. Like, you can't survive without.
Talking is just talking. We need real results now.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
So
I mean, just in the matter of like, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
no, I was just gonna say, so with like that the form and the delivery of which it keeps changing, how do we, like, I feel like reels have made marketing so different
Right.
because it's more subtle. It's like humor, entertainment, slight education. How do we like evolve with the ways that things change?
That's a deep question because it's always changing. Like literally, there's always something new. Like even I know it's funny. Like a lot of my MLMers, shout out to my MLMers out there, right? Worked with a lot of them. Like,
Yo, they got the best gig in the world.
yo, it's funny. No, but like I've gone to a lot of their events and stuff, and they got these people that go on there and they're like, oh, we're social media, we're training on social media, right? And a lot of them that I recently went to, I was listening. They're like, oh. An old thing that you always used to hear is it changes off, and they're like, oh, horizontal video only, right?
Yeah.
People need to see everything. They need to see your background. They need to see the life, the jet, the car. They need to see everything. And like, no, we live on an age now where I don't have it with me, but everything is viewed through our phones, right?
Yep.
And with the reels, IG shorts, I'm
Facebook
sorry,
Reels.
IG reels, YouTube shorts, Facebook reels, TikToks. It's all short format video that's now vertical. So we were telling everybody horizontal. Now it's all vertical, personal. What do you see on my screen? It looks like you're FaceTiming me. You're there with me, right? So that's one thing that changes, right? And then it's just like, how do you get the message across? So now we got things like Clubhouse, audio only. We got Facebook, which is, and I mean, obviously the huge trend that we're seeing, that's because we don't want to deep dive into all these social media platforms, but the huge trend that we're seeing, everything moving to is video. But more importantly, yes, video on YouTube format, long format is always going to work on YouTube, of course. But more importantly, what we're seeing a huge growth, a huge shift in is short format video. And we've seen it with TikTok. TikTok came and within less than a year blew up.
Blew it out of the water.
Right?
60-second videos.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even start off with 60-second
30-second video.
Yeah.
15-second
Yeah.
videos.
So people want more. It just showed that we wanted more. And they're like, okay, let's raise up the time a little bit. But short format video, we live in an age where it's so fast, right? Like everything needs to come quick. Everything needs to come quick. If you click something on your phone and it doesn't open up in a few seconds, you're like, I want to throw this across the floor, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we have these short attention spans. Someone may not want to sit there and listen to me for 30 minutes. There's a lot of people that are probably not even going to watch this full YouTube video.
Oh, hell no.
But if we break it up, right, and you grab some of the funny things we talked about, we grab some of the gems that we dropped and cut those into 30-second, 45-second, 60-second clips, you're still appealing to a new audience. You're just giving them the information, right? You're changing the way you tell your story. Because not changing the message, you're just changing how you're telling it, how they're receiving it. Okay, you don't need to watch the 15, 30, an hour video, but you can watch these, 2 to 3 clips that are 60 seconds each, and you're still going to be able to get the message. I'm still going to be able to work with you. You're still understanding my purpose. And that's what we're seeing a lot of right now is like branding is tying in heavy with video. You need to be creating content at all times. No matter what kind of content it is, people just want to live. There's a lot of people, no matter what you're doing. Let's say you're a new entrepreneur, right? Let's think back to when you first started this process.
Struggle was real.
Because we've had a lot of conversations.
Struggle's
over
still
this.
real.
Some funny conversations over a couple glasses of wine on how you're like, yo, I don't know how this shit's going to work, but we're going to make it work.
Yep.
There's a lot of people right now that are going through that same exact spot in their life. And if you could just put out these messages, not knowing what the hell you're doing, just record the process and create content for it, there's going to be people for it.
There's always, I tell people, take people on the journey with you.
Yeah.
I have so many people that are like, yo, you're real, and I believe you because I've watched you build this for 3 years.
You struggling and not knowing if you're going to make it in entrepreneurship, but deciding to do it anyway is
waking someone up.
Is waking someone up. Is somebody at their job, that's their ideal position to be in. They would die to be like, oh, I would be that person right now. Leave everything, forget this corporate job, screw this boss that doesn't care about me, not feeling appreciated enough, undervalued, not paid enough. I would rather be there and just giving it a try. So people want to live through you, right? You're giving them that motivation. They're like, okay, like maybe I could do this. Them watching that process, instead of you waiting, you're in one sense, you're being selfish by waiting until you're successful to only show them the penthouse, only show them the watches, the cars, everything, because that's not relatable.
Oh, people want to be like, I want to wait till this works.
Yeah. I want to wait till this works for everybody to watch it. Why? Because now somebody that you truly could have changed their life, they truly could have, tapped in with that message that you have for your branding. They don't get to enjoy that. They don't get to experience that with you because you cheated them out of it. And you cheated yourself because now you really don't have true core followers. You have people that are with you a little bit for the hype, but then the hype dies down and you go on to the next person that's all hyped up.
Real quick, I want to back into something that I'm hearing you say. Do you believe that, like, I don't even know how to say this, but I feel like you can choose what you want your brand to be based off where you're headed and your story.
Of course.
And you have to believe it first to sell it to other people, because I swear to you, I remember the day I changed in my bio that I was like the podcast queen. Yeah. And then I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Like, people are going to be like, you don't even have that many downloads. And I just rocked with it. And there's nowhere I don't go now where people that are like, oh, that's the podcast queen. And I'm like, I married it. Right. I just was like, this is who I am. This is how I'm going to stand out in the crowd. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah. And people don't call me by my name. They will literally be like, that's the podcast all queen. The time.
Listen, for the viewers out there, right? If you ever see me in public, you feel free to yell, hey, what's up, Vega? My name is not Brandon, right? Everyone just knows me by IG, right? And they're like, oh, my IG is branded by Vega, by the way.
And it looks like it says Brandon Vega.
But everybody's like, yo, that's Brandon Vega. So they'll see me and be like, yo, Brandon, it's Brandon Vega. And I'm like, who is Brandon? Like, that's not me, right? But I guess when you're being genuine and you're passing over a message people relate to, they feel like they genuinely know you.
But I had to believe it first.
Yeah.
I had to believe it
But you can see that now. That's why you're so personable through your IG. Like, people feel like they know you. And you and your best friend Megan. Like, I met Megan and them two, like, they're different personality types, but they're the way that they come off genuine and how personable they are through their pages, it makes you feel like you know them. I met her and completely bypassed the introduction. I thought, and then she looked back, she was like, by the way, do you want to introduce yourself? Hi. I'm like, oh, my bad. I feel like I already knew you. Because one, your friend talks about you so much in person and in her Instagram, social media. And then you get on Instagram and I follow you and I feel like you're talking directly to me. So I'm like, oh, I already know you. Like, I don't need to introduce myself. What's up? And like, you forget, like, sometimes when you're being effective, like the most genuine brand, when you're just being yourself, you forget it. And the reality check is when you come out and you see the fruits of your labor. You see people like diehard fans rocking with you.
I can't even tell you the stuff that has happened that I'm like, how did this happen? Like, I'm still a nobody. Right. And it's not like it's not the clout. I don't care about that, but it's like, I have done nothing, but just
it's not the clout. I've been doing this all wrong. It's not about likes.
It's not about the stars in the roof.
Oh, no, damn.
It's not about the stars in the roof.
Here I am only worrying about my blue check mark coming. Like, it's not about that. Thank you.
But it's like, y'all, I just been telling you my business the whole time. That's literally it. Like, here's my business on Front Street. Take it as you'd like.
You just set me up for something. You want to deep dive a little bit more? Yeah, let's go. Right? Just a little bit more to what you just said, right? So that is the key to being effective, right? Everyone's like so worried about what they feel they need to tell people rather than telling them exactly what they need to tell them, right? They feel like, oh, I need to say this in order for this person. Like, you need to speak to yourself first. You can still plug in your products. You can still, but you have to be smart about it, right? Mm-hmm. If you just really just genuine, have all this stuff that we've been talking, not to tie back, but just to recap, right? When you find that effectiveness, you give off that genuine spirit, you're personable, right? Now, once you master that, that's the first thing you need to do on your social media. When you master that, now you can get into the deep dive I'm about to go into. It's subliminal messaging and marketing.
Facts.
Right? One of the things that it slowly kills me inside, just like a little bit, like, just for a second, is when I see people that don't have subliminal messaging. Like, the biggest effective marketing, all marketing is getting somebody so excited about your product or service that you don't have to sell them. They sell themselves.
Right.
But one of the biggest things you can do to kill that opportunity you have to sell them is by being salesy and trying to sell them. You ever went to the mall and like everybody, like, I'm sure the women, I'm sure
the people
women
that chase you down
agree with me. Yes, we're gonna get to it in a second, but agree with me. Everyone loves to spend money, right? Mm-hmm. No one likes to be sold to. Like, facts. You love to go to the store and shop, right?
Yeah.
Buy all the lovely animal prints.
Unless I'm in Gucci, the minute somebody's chasing me around, like, can I help you with that? Like, get out of here.
Listen.
Get out of here.
you need them to chase you in Gucci. Though. You want to feel like how much money I'm spending in here? You better chase me around.
You need to take my personal phone number down.
Exactly. But okay, let's translate it over to like, okay, when you're walking in the middle, we're not in Gucci, right? We're walking in the middle of the mall,
Yeah.
and you just see the person like in one of those
Oh,
center. What
I'm
is that
on the
called?
phone
The
turning this
kiosk.
way. The kiosk.
Yeah, you see the kiosk people, and like you're 30 feet away from, it, and you're like, oh, don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. Cut
Yep.
it. Like,
Yep.
I know, cause why? Cause they're super salesy, right? You're like,
Facts.
oh, this looks great on you, does it? Like really? Oh, you know what's the perfect item for you? Really, it's a hair iron. So how's it perfect for me?
Right.
Like, right?
Right.
So when you're salesy, it translates. People can see you're not being genuine. So
Facts.
bringing that back to my point that I was getting with the social media, people see, right? The worst thing you could do is the move to the side. You ever see the people that move to the side so you can see the Lamborghini logo on the seat? Right? Or the people that point everything out like they verbally express everything that's in the video. You see the picture. You see the light switch. We out here living. You see the diamonds, right? Like, bro, it's gleaming in
We
camera.
can see
We
it.
can see it. We see what you're driving. We see the clothes. You see the Gucci. Yes, they see it all.
Yeah.
But if you just start being more genuine and you start passing your message over, right? Yeah, you're being strategic. Yeah, I'm showing certain things that are marketing tactics, right? They're gonna be like, okay, they're gonna know you're living the life. You don't need to let them know you're living the life. Act like you've been there before, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it looks ungenuine when you got to show it, right? Because now I don't even know if I can trust you. Like, is he flexing like everybody else? Is
Because
she
it's
flexing
real
like
easy
everybody
these
else?
days
It's real
to cop
easy
a couple things,
yeah.
to put in a message, to sell
Airbnb.
something
Have
else.
you seen some of the locations on Airbnb? Like, it's easy to rent a spot for the weekend and be like, oh, you see the balcony, right? But if I live here, I'm not going to, you barely go onto your balcony. I tell you that every time I come out here. I'm like, yo, I would
Literally.
live here on the balcony. I would legit set up a hammock outside. Just live
Because
on the
like you
balcony.
don't have enough pictures on this
Yeah.
balcony. I do not understand.
But if you just go on your balcony, like your balcony, does that say balcony?
Balcony?
I don't know. It sounded weird.
It's the cold.
It's the cold. It's my allergies. Listen, if you go out there and just like casually speak, right, or you just share your morning coffee with them and give them a genuine thought, some genuine
With an
advice.
accidental beautiful view.
Oh, my bad. Look at did I mean to show you the back of the city right here? Did I mean to show you these aesthetics? But like when you're a little bit more strategic, and I mean obviously that's just like with views and things like that. But like even if if I'm trying to sell you my product, instead of saying, hey, this is the best product in the world, right? This product makes me feel great. I'm casually gonna drink my product. I don't gotta tell you about it. You're gonna see my energy. You're gonna see that I feel great, and eventually you're gonna see like, okay, the last 18 episodes, Vega's been drinking Vega juice. Maybe I need to get some Vega juice if I want to feel like Vega.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's subliminal messaging is important. First, be genuine with the story you're giving. And then after you master that, it's time to tap into subliminal messaging. What do they need to know about my product? How can I sell them without selling them?
I want to kind of start wrapping up with this. What are some of the mistakes that are easy fixes that people are making when it comes to branding? Because I think people think they pick colors and they get stuck. I think they start selling. There's like, I meet a lot of women that pivot what they sell and they start freaking out. Like, do I need to start a new Instagram? Do I need to start over? Do I need to delete everything? Like, it's like, what are some of these mistakes that people are making that are easy fixes to really like rectify your branding?
They're trying to think, or they're trying to be the customer in a sense. They're like, or they're trying to pick their ideal customer. They're like, oh, this needs to be this because this is what these women like. They're making too many assumptions. This needs to be this because this is what this person likes. And you don't know what they like until they put it out. So just put out the product. They're waiting too long. They're holding on it because they're looking for the perfect answers and trying to say, this is exactly what this person wants. Just put it out and they're going to tell you what they want. The customer is always, or the ideal client is always going to tell you what you need to know to sell them. You just have to listen. So stop trying to come up with the answers for yourself and let them listen. The next biggest thing that I would say is, I lost my train of thought. 1 second. Hold on. So I got distracted, right? I was looking this way. The next biggest thing is they lead with the product, right? They're like, they lead their product saying, my product is the answer to your problem. And you never should lead with your product or your service and say, hey, this is my product, this is my service, it's the best thing for this. Lead with the problem.
Facts.
Introduce the problem, sell on emotion, and then introduce the solution, which is your product or your service, is you.
This is facts.
Yeah.
So true.
You ever play a maze as a kid? Like in the back of the cereal box or like in school or anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the easiest way to get through a maze? No rules. Or figure out the correct path for a maze.
Start with the end in mind. I learned that from you. But in internet marketing, that's what they
Yeah,
teach
if you want to cheat.
How much money do you want to make? Okay, now let's reverse engineer this. How many people do you want to impact? Reverse engineer
So
this.
look at it just like
Start backwards.
Yeah, look at it just like a maze, right? If you're starting with your product and you're saying you're gonna have a lot harder time tapping with that audience, getting your message across, doing the sales, all this stuff, because you're starting in the beginning of the maze. So you're gonna run into all those little traps. You're gonna run into the wrong directions. You're gonna have to go back a little bit. But if you start from the end, right, and you know what the end goal is, you know what the purpose is, it's easy to cheat your way through the maze.
Yep.
You say, this is the problem. Imagine having a solution. Imagine fixing it like this. I give you the solution. It's my product. It's me. It's my service.
This is so true because we talk about this in event sales all the time, and event marketing is like everybody wants to sell you on the agenda. And I'm like, do you know how many amazing events that I have paid ridiculous amounts of money for, and I don't get the agenda until the day I walk in?
You ever seen an Apple launch?
Yes.
I got a brand new iPhone right there, and there's another brand new iPhone on order already coming just because of how effective iPhone launches is. They never say, hey, this is the new iPhone. It's the best at this. It's the best camera. It's the best thing. They sell you on the emotion. They start from the end. They're like, yo, imagine you're out with your family. The most amazing experience is going on, right? Something that you want to capture for the rest of your life. The worst thing is when you have a low quality camera that can never grab it or the battery's always dying, right? Imagine if you could just solve that, and in the back of your pocket, you could just reach out and pull a cinematography camera, something that can capture every moment in the depth, the color, the feel, the sound, everything that's perfect for you to go back and relive that moment over and over and over again. Would you do it? Yes. I introduced to you the iPhone 13 with cinematic mode. I'm like, oh, so bet. Yeah, give me another one. Give me two. And it's like, when you start from the end and you have a clear message, you can change the way you tell the story. You can tell it to a whole bunch of different people, but they're going to resonate with it and they're going to buy it because you're solving a problem and you're leading with the emotion and you're tapping in, you're being genuine.
Boom.
Mic drop.
Let's
not drop these though.
No, we cannot. And just leave them with something they can do today, whether it's about reels or just a simple shift in their branding to make changes in 24 hours.
You guys, I'm most active on Instagram. You can slide in the DM and say, what's up, Brandon? I won't get mad.
Visionary Vega.
I'm always on Instagram. I need to be more active. It's funny because I'm so busy building everyone else's brand.
It happens
sometimes.
Facts.
Yeah. And then to end with, I guess something that I can leave with you, right? It's one of my favorite quotes. And it's blind faith translates into reality. So when you just believe that it's meant to be, right? No matter what, like this is where I need to be. This is where my brand needs to be. This is where my company needs to be. If you blindly believe into it, blind faith, you just know that it's going to work, it's going to convert into reality. So when you go to do your next reel, when you go to introduce your next product, if you've been sitting on an idea, literally just have blind faith in that brand and just be super genuine. And I promise you, it's gonna translate into reality. It's gonna translate into a successful brand. If you want to know my story, hit me up on IG. We'll go on a story. But off that same thing, just to leave them with it, I built my first 7-figure business off of say yes first and figure it out later. Having faith in me and just knowing that I was gonna figure it out.
Say yes and figure it out later. That's that right there is a whole nother episode, but that's 100% correct. Jump out, figure it out on the way down.
Have that blind faith. We'll see you.
Thanks, Vega.
Let's get it.